Chair.
Great, thank you very much. So next I'd invite Helen Broughton to the table. Helen, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the table.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to acknowledge that you're going through a difficult time as a council, and I just want to especially acknowledge Aaron, Jamie, and Yanni, who were there for the earthquake problem. So I think it's much the same, perhaps even worse. I've tried to stay clear of major financial issues at council because I don't think council really wants to hear from ex-councillors. I think we aren't particularly valued, but what has angered me so much is that you're proposing to charge for water. So that's the reason I've come. And I couldn't actually believe you were doing this as a council. Now, the history of this, I was on council from 2001 to 2013, and every 3 years council staff did come to us in a briefing session and say, would you look at water charges? We had discussions, but when we looked at what's happening on the Canterbury Plains, what Christchurch takes is very, very minor. And I do have the figures here. Christchurch uses 53 million cubic metres, and the Canterbury Plains take 6,116 million cubic metres. So it's very, very small. The other reason, and so when the staff came to us, we always just said no, and it wouldn't even have reached the public arena. I understand the 2013 and 2016 council also rejected it, perhaps more on administrative grounds, and you've got huge admin issues in that if you have a row of 5 units, only one might be joined to the water supply. So how do you tackle that? And I think you're going to have the whole army of people trying to change and address that situation. I don't believe it's popular, but I don't think the public had a real chance to have a say because it kind of slipped through. And when I rang at the very beginning to say, could I have a paper on this is about 3 weeks ago, I was told there wasn't a paper. So it's been very difficult. I've read what you've got in your draft annual plan, and it does set out some of the issues there, but I'm not sure how many people have read it. And I do think that residents groups and the broader public should be formally consulted. So I believe it's not appropriate for an annual plan. It needs to be done through the long-term plan. Annual plans, as far as I know it, are to make minor adjustments, and I don't think water charging was indicated or is a minor adjustment. It's a major departure from what council has done in the past. And I think with COVID, charging for water is not the time to do this. It will impact on some residents. I haven't looked carefully at who, but I presume large families, who could be our Polynesian families, blended families, families with grandparents in the house. So I don't think that residents should be faced with water charging at this point. The other group it potentially cuts against is gardeners. So, but the risk all residents face is that if you do it this year, then next year it's indicated that you'll look at this again. So you'll get a small charge this year affecting some people. Next year you'll charge more people.
Now we are at the end of the 3 minutes. In fact, we're beyond the end of the 3 minutes. So if you can wrap up.
What I'm asking you to do is please do not do water charging this year. If you want to do it through the long-term plan.
Helen, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I will allow one question.
So we've made it clear that it is just it is a step towards the bigger conversation that needs to be had. Do you support a situation that allows the top 20% of water users in the city to continue to the top 20% to continue to use 50% of the water that is distributed through our system?
To answer that properly, and you may have better figures than I have, I'd need to understand which groups it actually impacts. I haven't looked carefully at
just the
what
top
you're proposing.
20%. Just
Sorry?
the top 20% of users.
Well, I'd need to know whether it's this large Polynesian families, is it
no,
gardens?
they're exempt. They're able to get an exemption.
Gardeners?
No, it is actually about gardeners, and it is about those that use more than their fair share, 20% using 50% of the water, more than their fair share of our drinking water. It is not an unsustainable, it is not a sustainable supply option in anyone's book. But anyway, I'm now arguing with you instead of
and I still
thanking you
believe
for your
it
submission.
ought to be
Thank you.
through the long-term plan.
Yeah, no,
Where that's clear. Yeah.
your comments have been heard loud and clear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to make your submission this morning. Thank you.
Mr Chair, can I just suggest if anyone comes in and says that we are intending to charge for water, that you immediately correct that, because every time it's
Distribution.
every time it's said, it seems to reinforce an incorrect message to the people of Christchurch.
Yep.
We're
It's
not
about the
charging for
infrastructure.
water. It's
If you could just highlight the capital value allocation issue too.
That is an issue.
Yeah, the point, Pauline, that you've raised is a good one. Yeah, thank you.